Hello, and thanks for tuning in here to Spotlight Now on this Tuesday afternoon. Yunji Denise has the day off, and I'll be joined in just a few moments by my first guest. Coming up today on Spotlight Now, we're going to be talking about some of the challenges of doing business here in Hawaii. Of course, we always want to engage you, our viewers. So if you're watching this, please tune into Facebook and type in your questions. You can also be in touch with us through our QR code that you'll see throughout the broadcast on your screen. Coming up in about half an hour, we're also going to air a special called the Aloha Market. The Aloha Market was a pop-up event that happened in New York City where Hawaii businesses were able to share their brands and their businesses with an East Coast audience. We're going to be hearing from some of the vendors and the organizers of that event and really how Hawaii was on display and made a big splash in the Big Apple. But joining me right now is my first guest, the CEO and president of the Chamber of Commerce of Hawaii, Sherry Manoa McNamara. Sherry, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me here.
You know, we want to talk about doing business in Hawaii. That's really our focus and our spotlight here today. But wanted to first starting to talk about what happened this last legislative session. Of course, the Chamber of Commerce always very active and busy in legislative matters. What were some of the key initiatives that the Chamber was really watching this past legislative session?
Well, many of the legislation that we're following was related to our Blueprint 2030, which I'll talk about later. But one of the bills that we championed was the Economic Business Revitalization Task Force. And really what it is to put together stakeholders from different industries, as well as government leaders, to evaluate what rules and regulations are outdated, need updating, or just simply removed, so that we can remove the barriers and lessen the challenges of doing business here in Hawaii. So fortunately, with the support of the legislature and the lead introducers, Senator DeCoite and Representative Holt, we're able to get it passed, and now it's just waiting for the governor's signature.
What would you say overall were maybe the biggest wins for Hawaii businesses in this last legislative session? Because we did hear from many lawmakers who said that this was a monumental legislative session, very historic. We saw Governor Green sign that tax credit, with that tax relief bill that Hawaii residents will begin seeing. What would you say were some of the big wins for Hawaii businesses?
Well, one, the task force bill that we got passed, and bills relating to child care, as well as education and workforce development, and of course that income tax bill that the governor signed, because that will essentially put money back into the economy, which in turn will help businesses sustain themselves, as well as continue to provide jobs. And there are other bills, and of course we played defense as well, bills that could undermine doing business here, and many of them did not pass. So we're very, again, fortunate that the focus was to help our economy, help our working families, as well as help Maui recover from the wildfires.
Yeah, we want